Let's see here. So for those of you who are watching in, I'm going to be installing the new SQL Server 2017 live.
Oh, you weren't kidding. I thought you were
joking. Don't
No.
do this to them. Holy crap, Brent.
Absolutely. Heck yeah.
It's only CTP2. Don't get people all riled up.
It is only CTP2, which is brand new. I mean, they've never had CTP2 before, so that's a good start.
Next week, watch me write promises in Node.js. Fun for the family.
That's not happening.
Let's see here. So where do we go? Rad roles and features. I don't know if it's going to require the new .NET. Actually, I should just not even install it. I shouldn't install the new .NET and let's just go throw the CD on and see what happens.
I'm looking
Windows
for
2012.
release
Hey,
notes.
2012 R2. 2012 R2.
Get with the times.
I know. I feel bad not using 16 yet, but I'm like, well, if I'm doing something brand new, I'm only going to change one big thing at a time. So let's try this. So ladies and gentlemen, you are seeing CTP2 install now for the first time. We all get to learn together how this goes. The same installation wizard. Woohoo! It's hideously ugly. All right. So
are there like full release notes for this anywhere?
I was looking for that too, and I couldn't find them.
Yeah, I see like the little blurb on the site, but I don't see.
Yeah, like a big.
Like that. Yeah, because they always hide stuff. There's always like little hidden gems in there. But this one has resumable online index rebuild. So rebuild's got the reorg treatment.
Yeah.
And someone magical in Seattle has been working on adaptive query processing and relieved execution.
Who you should name drop him? Who is it?
I should.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
My future boyfriend, Joe Sack.
Your future. Who's your current boyfriend?
Me. It's really depressing. Really depressing.
Oh, I have a warning about Windows Firewall, and I'm going to ignore that because no one else needs to connect to this virtual machine.
Everyone else ignores Windows Firewall.
Why
you be different?
Tara, should we
ignore it? They're like, what?
Windows Firewall. Tara, should we install replication on this VM?
Well, my only issue with that is one time I forgot to check the box. And it turned in that environment. We were going to move from old hardware to new hardware, same version, but I forgot to check the box, and you cannot get it back. You have to. I mean, we had already deployed production there. We'd moved production there, and I think I knew replication was needed there, but we ended up not needing it. But then we ended up needing it. So anyways, you cannot put replication back on that version, at least. This was SQL Server 2005, and it was painful, and we never got it to work. I opened up a support case with Microsoft, and they tried everything to get replication installed. But yeah, apparently in newer versions, it works fine to do it afterwards. I don't know. It was painful. So I always check the box. Always.
I did something similar back at my last job when I was installing SQL for a couple new production instances for relativity, and I forgot to check the full text box. Went to do something, I was like, wait, why isn't this? It's like I had one job.
Install that. We have new to Python, so you can run Python inside the engine. Which my immediate comment was, why would you spend $7,000 a core to run Python? But Steve Jones is like, there's some Python scripts I want to run. Okay.
Because I don't want to have to write it myself.
So you can run Python? Does this mean you can write stuff natively in Python? Like, could you like I know in like Postgres and Oracle, you can code stuff in different languages. Does that mean you could write a function in Python and have it?
I don't
think so.
Because that'd be cool. That'd be interesting to me, at least.
Well, it's under machine language services, so I'm assuming it's only dealing with that crap.
Oh, there were. Well, let's go back and look because there were two. There's two places to run. Oh yeah, machine learning services. Then there's also the new machine learning server. For Windows, which again,
boring.
As soon as I see that though, I'm like, it's $7,000 a core for Enterprise Edition. Why would you do that? Let me get myself a little storage disk here.
I'm sorry. Doesn't this feel like a different product you should be putting this in and not like SQL Server? I mean,
it's the same GUI. It's just one setup GUI. That means it's all born together. It's perfect.
Yeah.
Well, the name Tableau is taken, so they had to just stick it in SQL.
All right, so I got myself an M drive so I can go throw SQL Server over there, instance root directory. I'm that guy who just won't put it on the C drive because I'm always terrified that some yo-yo is going to put something. I would tab order, seriously, people. So I'm in the instance root directory, hit tab, feature directory, hit tab. Then the next one I hit tab, and where am I? I'm over in disk space requirements. Why? I shouldn't even be able to highlight that.
File a bug report.
Okay. Yeah, things
Connect
still
item.
ignore from Brent Ozar.
Aaron Bertrand probably has a connect time about that already.
He probably does.
Blog post series.
Thank you. You reminded me that I need to do something.
For those of you who haven't installed a SQL Server recently, you'll know that SQL Server Management Studio is not part of the list. That's still a separate product and a separate download. So here it goes. Please wait. This is a brand new Windows box, and we're having to wait. That's okay. SQL Server Agent. I'm just going to leave these as a default because that's who I am. Collation, I'm going to pick as case sensitive because that's also who I am. Okay. And next. And database engine, I'm going to do mixed mode, and I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Add current user. Everything in here looks the same so far. Oh, there's this Linux button. Just kidding.
Wow, I'm going to download the preview now, and it's crazy. On the download page,
they default to Linux. Oh,
no, there's Linux, Mac OS, Windows, Docker, and Azure. There's like choices now. It's not just.
And I think the Mac OS stuff is all just they're going to give you the Docker image. Yeah, is what I think it is.
Well, there's a separate
click
Docker
on it
thing,
to
so I
see.
don't know. I'm not clicking on that. I want to get a virus.
Come on, man, click on that.
So
TempDB data and logs is still the same thing.
Tap.
Next, my ways past that. Install. All right, so there's nothing different in the installation. Still basically the same, which also means I got to go download SSMS later, which also means that this is boring. What was the point of that? Golly. At least we got it out of the way before before the official questions type stuff comes in. All right. So immediately all of us, how many of us just wanted to quit our jobs, like quit our normal job duties, call in sick and play with the new SQL Server as soon as this comes out? It's only me?
Oh, yeah. Nope. Didn't I already do that?
I'm all about you. Brandon
today.
Yeah. All right. I guess we will go ahead and start taking some of these wonderful questions. Let's see here. So, especially since my install is going so slow. Justin says, I'm having trouble with analysis services memory runaways. Oh, are they run away from home? They're having a bad year.
Should call Del Shannon about that.
You're too young for that joke. We're all too young for that joke.
I love that song.
When a handful of users issue heavy queries that return a few thousand rows, the analysis service gobbles up more memory than where I have the hard memory limit set. How do I limit how much memory analysis services use so that it doesn't go beyond physical memory? I don't think any of us know the answer to that.
Nope.
Spent
a long time asking that one.
For the record, Runaways was a great comic. And they're turning it into a TV show, actually.
What's the name of the TV show?
I think Runaways.
It's not very creative.
No.
And my head immediately went to Runaways by Ladytron, or My Runaway by Ladytron. For analysis services questions, that seems like a great thing to ask at dba.stackexchange.com. If you want someone who specifically blogs about analysis services, 2 names come to mind. Chris Webb with 2 B's. You could go to his blog and try to contact him there. So if you search for Chris Webb and BI, or prodata.ie. Prodata.ie is Bob over in Ireland, and he knows a ton about analysis services, which none of us do. Wes says, what is different in the vNext CTP installation process on SQL Server? The answer we have apparently learned is nothing. Other than that, like there's R and Python and the new
boxes. Yep.
Yeah.
Ooh, thank you.
Tim says, what quorum configuration would you use for a 4-node availability group where there's 2 nodes in your primary data center and 2 nodes in DR? I bet Tara has done this so many times.
This question's boring for her. I'm going to take a nap and answer it.
Oh, you're muted. You're muted.
Okay. Windows 2012 and 2016 kind of throw me for a loop. The AGs I've deployed were Windows 2008 R2 and then 2012, but not R2. And I know that the quorum stuff has changed a bit in 2012 R2, and maybe even in 2016. So I don't have that stuff memorized, but at least, I mean, just looking at the question, I would have a file share witness at the primary site, and configure the votes on the 2 DR servers as disabled, so that they can't participate in knowing if the cluster is up or down, because network glitches are going to happen between the 2 sites.
What
I know that
set node weight 0 or something.
Yeah, you do a cluster.exe command, and you can see the voting in the AG availability group dashboard in SSMS, I believe. I know that with the newer operating systems, they recommend always having a witness, even if you had 3 nodes and that was it at one site. They said go ahead and do the dynamic witness, I believe. But I don't have all that stuff memorized to be able to answer the question as far as what the other operating systems.
Brent does.
No, I'm with it. I'm 100%. You're exactly right. That's exactly what I would do. Yep, same difference. Joe says, do you have any big concerns? Drowning is my big concern. Or things I need to secure when our BizTalk developer wants remote DTC available on all of our SQL servers. God. Oh, wow. Have any of you guys managed BizTalk?
No, never touched it.
No, but I've had clients that have had it, and it requires max.stop equal to 1, just like all the other Microsoft stuff. And they had BizTalk on their server that had OLTP databases on it, and max.stop 1. So they didn't have any CX packet weights because they had those queries by parallel. And I was like, ooh, these queries would really benefit from parallelism.
God. Yeah, it's probably not negotiable. It's probably just something that BizTalk requires.
Yeah.
And my guess, just because of what the product is that it's constantly doing transactions to say, I picked up something from this SQL server and I'm moving it over to this other. So I don't think that's going to be a good time in terms of performance, but I think it's just going to be a requirement that it just kind of is what it is. If you have more technical questions or political questions or fashion questions, probably not haircut questions amongst this group. What's happening here lately. So what we're doing now is we're looking at, because we've hit the exhausted thing of questions already. Look at you guys. And holy cow, there's like 70 of you in here watching what's going on with
Nobody has questions.
That never happens.
Yeah. Never. Question button broken.
Hey, Brent, I've never had to install a database in the cloud, like ever.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're doing here.
So you're watching and learning. See, when you, after years of doing this, you grow to learn what parts of the window are the desktop and what parts of it are the setup application. These are the kinds of things you have to do when you still manage SQL Server on premises. Who the hell thought this was a good idea in terms of user interface? This is moronic. Whatever. So do I wish to continue? Yes. Click install to begin. Sure, I'd love to.
Do you wish to continue living?
Yes, I would love to. I do love that SQL Server Management Studio continues to get better. So that's awesome and fantastic. Visual C++ 2015. Woo.
Oh, what I always wanted.
So for those of you who are listening to the podcast and not watching, we're installing SQL Server 2017, which the preview, CTP2, which just got announced moments ago at Microsoft's Data AMP conference.
That's Data AMP, not Data Dump. We're all clear on that.
Am I the only one who saw Data AMP and thought of ampersand, like that they miscoded something with HTML? It was just me. So feel free to get your, so Thomas asks, do you know why select star from sys certificates doesn't return certs for column level encryption? I think I have to do a for each to get it to return from everything. Wow, I've never used certs for column level encryption. Have any of you guys?
No, that's a first for me.
I don't know.
This is the podcast of crappy answers. I would say that they're crappy questions, but no, dear reader, we love you very much.
So is the issue, because I know that there was another system view where we had a bug. I think it was a database scope configuration where we had to do put an artificial top 100 or 1,000 in there to get them all to come back.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes those system views aren't your friends. So rather than do a for each, loop into your SQL Server. Try throwing like a top 100 or top 1,000 on there and see if that brings rows back. Because there have been bugs with system views before where things just didn't show up when you selected data from them.
And slap at least an order by in there too as well.
Yeah.
As you're watching the screen go by, you're seeing CTP 1.3 stuff. It's just because SSMS hasn't been updated to CTP 2. So there you go. Dawn says, our developer wants to implement database sharding. Oh, he's been reading Hacker News. I am trying to determine if it makes sense. We would most likely have around 10 databases with 50,000 transactions per month. I can't see if there's a value in this.
Well, because I'm sharing transactions.
Because I'm sharing my desktop, I'm going to fire this up. Someone remind me. So how many days are in a month?
There's around about 30.
30. How many hours are in a day?
24 or so.
All right. How many minutes are in an hour?
Oh, I'm going to say 60.
1440. Just kidding.
So then we're doing one transaction per minute. One per minute.
That's assuming you do 24 hours a day.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, that's an server could take. We're just talking an average.
Yeah, they could be 5 every 5 minutes, just all at once. Yeah. Boom, 5. I think you could outsource this to a small elderly man with a chisel and a tablet who could sit there and track the database.
It feels like premature optimization, talking about sharding.
And define that term. What's premature optimization mean?
So it's when you apply optimization techniques that handle typically large performance problems when you don't have large performance problems, you have small problems.
Agreed. I've seen times where servers get 50,000 transactions per second, let alone not per month there. They might be a little early. Don says he says it would be performance, but he can't justify it. I feel like I'm missing something. Yeah, you need to read the same Hacker News trendy stuff. He's actually not trying to solve problems at your office. He's trying to get a job over at Tumblr or at Yahoo or something like that.
Write his own framework in Rust and Go and Swift and Julia or whatever else.
Yeah, serverless. He's going to be like Richie saying everything is serverless when there's real servers.
We need no boxes. I mean, the interesting thing about performance is that you could always have a number that proves that you improved something, right? So there should be some sort of hard numbers that you could go to and say, hey, by sharding, we improved X, this amount. So what's the number you're trying to improve? Or again, the Hacker News thing, because it's the cool in thing. We need a shard.
Yes. Transactions per minute, 1 per minute. It's incredible. Hold on a second. Let's simulate 1 minute. Joshua says, given our strong views on TempDBs being pre-sized out without auto growth, I don't know if we really have that strong a feeling about it. I don't know if we're real too passionate about it. But what is your preferred favorite way to see how much TempDB is used at the moment? So where do you guys find how much TempDB is used at the moment? There comes the TempDB police. Or do you use a script for it, or I don't even know if we have one.
I don't think that's built into anything. Whenever I've had to trend TempDB utilization long term, I've always used extended events to do that. I have a couple. I have a blog post about at least tracking TempDB log file usage up on the website somewhere. But I've used similar stuff over do that. Monitoring tools are great for that. Why sit there and hit F5 all over and over again, or have some script running a while loop? We can have a monitoring tool do all that stuff for you, and give you data and log file usage and pretty charts and graphs and numbers and red lights and green lights. That's what I'm into.
Well, if you run SP Blitz first, you won't get any of that information. So I won't help you.
I can't believe we don't have that in something. I'm like, I don't think it's in SP Blitz either. We should probably have it in SP Blitz, like, hey, you're using 90% of TempDB or something like that. That seems like it would be cool.
The GUI report to see the disk usage report. Yeah. But the only problem with that, so I definitely have used that, being a lazy DBA, of course. But the only problem with that is it will not show you the version store. So you can see a completely empty TempDB, and yet your TempDB is growing and growing, and you're like, what the heck is going on here? and then you start Google searching it, and you finally realize that recommit snapshot isolation is using version store and TempDB, and it's not shown in that graph. So you have to run. You can only run a script to see what's going on for there. So you have to combine those two things if you're using RCSI at least.
Well, I mean, that's not the only thing that uses the version store. You got, if you use certain types of triggers, use what is it, after triggers. Gotcha. And those will also use the version store. So you have to be careful there. It's not just an RCSI problem.
Right.
I always forget about triggers.
Me too. I was like, oh.
Yeah. I want
triggers today.
Like,
Wes Crockett says, if you suffer from premature optimization, see your doctor. It may be a sign of a more serious.
Be careful here.
It's interesting.
What's your doctor's name again?
MM says, we're moving from SQL Server 2008 R2 to 2014. We got a bunch of large databases, a bunch of 800 gig databases, and no downtime is acceptable. Our company does a thing where they let us configure and then they take the server back for a few days, so the data will be stale. What on earth is happening here? Would you recommend changing our current databases to bulk logged from simple and then restoring our differentials? Oh, no. The gotcha with, if somebody, if soon as you restore to a newer version of SQL Server, they're going to be changing the database in order to attach it in the new version, and that will make permanent changes. You won't be able to restore a differential over the top of that again. You'll have to re-restore from scratch.
Yeah, there's really no good way to do that unless you use like a sort of cheaty workaround like sand snapshots or something, which can at least provide a somewhat faster
restore time
than native backup and restore.
Yeah. I wonder if this person can get away. I know they said no downtime is acceptable, but what about like 5 seconds of downtime? You really can fail over to another server, newer version in a very, very short amount of time. If you have, say database mirroring, it can go up. You can go in one direction up 2 versions even. And the failover command's really fast. And if as long as you're scripted with everything, just F5 that script, and it will be super fast.
Yeah, I think the problem with them though is that the company takes it back, so they have to set mirroring back up over again. So I mean that could be like their permanent cutover solution, but
yeah.
I would just like to point out that for those of you who are listening alone and not watching, you're going to miss out on this, but I can show you the brand new newest feature of SQL Server 2017, SQL Profiler 17. And it's the same thing, just they named it SQL Server 17.
They got a new thing. It got a new icon. It's all
I know. I was kind of
materialized.
It's green too, Brent. Just in case someone asks.
Oh, I see. I wouldn't have known that.
Yeah.
I will also say that Management Studio's installation is slower than SQL Server's installation by a long shot.
Management Studio?
Yeah.
Is like a third of the size of SQL Server. The SQL download's like 2-point-something gigs, and the Management Studio download is like 800 megs. It's the most bizarre thing in the world, man. It's enormous.
It's not slower than Visual Studio install. I'll tell you that. I'll guarantee you that.
Oh, God. So at first glance, everything looks pretty much the same here. Just for laughs, we'll go create a new database, just to see if we get any new stuff in here. Nope, it's still pretty much the same thing it's been before.
I like the little wrenches, though.
Yeah, that does seem a little new. Otherwise, everything kind of looks the same. Oh, look at you, SQL compatibility level. vNext doesn't say SQL Server 2016. Auto shrink is still there, thank goodness. I know, Eric, you were worried about that.
I was.
Tara, just as you were asking, auto close is still there. So we're good.
Yay.
Kyle says, we're having a weird performance issue. Our prod database takes twice as long to do a PeopleSoft job, and it has lots of cursors. But a fresh restore of that to a different instance on the same server, everything seems identical, or every performance is different. So is there a time when, or what would cause queries to be different in terms of performance between one server and another, one session or another? It's that time of the podcast where we bring out that answer.
Go for it.
Go ahead, Eric. Go ahead, Eric.
Oh, me? Okay.
Yep, I think so.
Erlen Summerskog has this thing written called, what is it, slowing the application fast enough? Or do I have that backwards?
Our buddy.
So I say it so many times. It's like it became unfamiliar to me. I was like, I don't want to be on autopilot.
Yeah.
I'll post the link over in chat. It's basically a rundown of all the stuff that could ever possibly be different and cause queries to have the same query to have different execution characteristics from one place to another or one run to another. We go grab that. Remember how to.
I would tell Kyle, compare the execution plans on the two servers. You're going to see a difference almost certainly. Especially if this is a restore from production. So I would assume at least the statistics are relatively up to date, but it just depends on when the full backup is from.
Mm-hmm.
I assume nothing.
Yeah. But what you're experiencing is likely parameter sniffing.
Yep.
All right. Where are you, Kyle? Sorry.
And if you need help with it, hire us. We deal with parameter sniffing almost every single week.
Oh my gosh. Because it's everywhere. Everybody has that same question. What?
And it's complex. It's a hard topic.
Yeah.
Very, very hard.
The answers are different very often between servers, all kinds of fun stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Thomas says, and Thomas is feeding us a bunch of questions, and there's others, so I should probably hit those others, but his first one's actually really good. Not that the other ones aren't good, but let's be honest, Thomas.
Room for improvement.
Room for improvement. Thomas says, what percentage of disk space do you recommend be free for optimal performance on disks with data files? That's kind of tricky. I'm going to leave off performance. I'm going to say just how much free space are you comfortable leaving on drives with data files on them?
I mean, the companies that I've worked at have, we have to have 20% of free space so that we're not getting email alerts. So that was our target, to make sure we're under 80%. That way we're not getting alerts from our monitoring tools. But performance doesn't matter. You could be 99% full and performance is still the same if it were 5% full.
Until you hit 100%.
Well, but then I don't know that performance necessarily goes down. Maybe from the user's perspective it does, but errors are going to start being thrown.
But those errors come back fast, so that means they're performing really well.
Yes.
Fast performing errors. Highly optimized.
Let's see here. Clark says, now that SQL Server...
Excuse me.
Like the world?
That was a ghost of my hair coming back.
Is that a hellhound you have under your desk there?
Oh, I think I live on a street with a biker gang. It's all sorts of choppers and stuff.
Awesome. Clark says, now that SQL Server 2017 is close, would you feel comfortable telling a client to upgrade to 2016?
I've been telling people to upgrade to 2016 since 2015.
That's true.
And someone in office asked earlier. Someone asked earlier, their upgrade from 2008 R2 to 2014. I mean, why aren't they going to 2016?
No, it wasn't even that. It was 2012. It was just like,
yeah.
Why are you doing that?
Enough time has passed. I think SQL Server 2012 is worth a look. I mean, don't install it right away, but at least take a look at it.
We are almost up to Service Pack 4 for 2012, so it's bordering on stability.
It's bordering on deprecated. Pretty old there. I'm amazed by this. So now with the brand new SQL Server 2017, it still calls the config manager SQL Server 2008. Hopefully someone is writing this down and taking things into account so that they can go file connect bugs and go fix
I bet if you go into the add remove program control panel, you'll still have all that junk from 2008 installed on there too. The backwards compatibility, DLL, CLR stuff. Oh.
Yeah.
That was always the worst part about cleaning up SQL installs. You're like, do I need this? What is this?
Who installed this?
Yeah, there you go. 2008 setup support files. Thank God. 2008 C++ redistributables. Thank God. Oh, what would you do without those?
Good stuff. Good stuff. Garbage. Not garbage, just
trash. Throw it in the bin.
Hot garbage.
Fayez says, what's the configuration of your virtual machine? The installation of SQL Server was pretty quick. It is a Apple Mac Pro. It's a trash can desktop with 64 gigs of RAM and solid state. It's nothing. It pales in comparison to Erik's desktop, though. Erik has this thing. Yeah. It requires a pull start. It's got a cord, but once it's started,
that was
pretty quick.
I was very excited building that, and every once in a while, this funny smell will come out of it, like this burning plastic smell, and I'll go down there and I'll look, and then when I go and I look at like Task Manager or anything, it's not doing anything. There's like no activity. Every once in a while, I think it's just the what do you call it? The thermal paste on the CPU every once in a while will just like hit a pocket or something. It's like,
Someone didn't apply it right.
Oh, I applied it right. I watched like 75 YouTube tutorials on how to apply thermal
Arctic
paste.
Silver
preparation for this.
17.
There's like 2 dots and a stripe and then a smiley face and then.
What I love is how
eyes.
Apple apologized for the Mac Pro a couple weeks ago.
Mhm.
We're sorry, it's so slow. We're gonna fix it. We promise.
And it's so old. Yeah, no updates in 3 years. And yet, notice you people still said it was fast. There you go. Kyle says, do you guys have any suggestions to track query plans within cursors?
Well, Blitzcash will show you that. We don't do much analysis on the cursor plans themselves because they're a totally different branch of the XML. It's a totally different path. So like in the normal SQL Server execution plan, there's a statement simple. And then from there, it branches down into like relop and all the other stuff that goes on within a query plan. If you look at a query plan with a cursor in it, it does the same thing, except it goes from statement simple to statement cursor, and then it has this whole other path. So we would really have to do a lot to materialize that second path and do like any real meaningful analysis on it. But Blitzcash will pull cursor plans out of the cache, and you can still look at them just the same way if they're in a stored procedure or if they're ad hoc code. We just don't throw all the fancy warnings for them, except for the one case where, what was it? Brent wanted that one for the weird cursors where they're not forward only in their key set or dynamic cursors that make things awkward.
Make you go forwards and backwards.
Paste the plan, we'll be able to read cursors.
What is coming up new in the new version of pastetheplan.com?
Yeah, so that's the big one, right? So we can now read cursors. We have new lines that actually have arrows on them to show the flow of data. In the plan, we have a download button, so you could actually download the plan as opposed to just copying the XML. So those are I think the big 3. I have a blog post that's been written. It's probably going to go out sometime next week, and when we do the actual load of it. But it's all done, and it all works. There's a lot more stuff we want to put into it, but we do this kind of on our down periods. So.
And we believe it or not, we don't just sit around in webcasts answering your wonderful questions. Let's see here. Going further, Colin says, man, how am I picking these questions? Why don't I read these before I say them out loud? Colin says, we have a legacy application that contains hundreds of cursors, and I'm looking for the worst cursors in order to optimize them. Do you know of any tools that help with that? I don't know. I wouldn't look at the cursors. I would just look at SP Blitzcash. Show me the worst queries.
There's only so much you can do with the cursors,
right?
Unless you replace them altogether. I mean, if you want advice on replacing the cursors, the T-SQL Level Up course has a module on replacing cursors in it, which might be helpful to you.
Which is free now. If you go to brentozar.com and you click training up at the top, if you sign up for our free level of training, it includes Doug's excellent T-SQL Level Up, where he gives you examples of how you go about rewriting a cursor. He has all kinds of animations inside there. It's pretty slick. Doug says, Brent, I enjoyed the presentation yesterday, how to triage SQL Server. Cool, glad you liked it. Is that session online? Yes, if you search for Pass DBA Fundamentals, their user group has it online already over in their YouTube channel.
Cool. I should go watch that. I need to learn how to triage it.
Right? Yeah,
one
one of these.
Advice.
Figure by year 3, you might be able to pick it up. But.
Apply a tourniquet,
Yeah, we'll see.
Like
this belt.
Oh my goodness. JH says, what resources do long-running update and alter table statements take the most?
This question sounds familiar.
Was it on Stack?
No, it was last week.
Oh.
There was something about what resource, what would take more resources, an update or an alter table or something like that. It was the same question. I think it was a very similar question.
He didn't get a good answer from us last week then.
Apparently.
So it's probably not going to happen this week either then. Tim says, all right, this is, I think, just more of talking about versions. He is building a brand new 64 core, 1 terabyte availability group cluster, and they won't let us go to 2016. We have to stay on 2012.
Ugh.
Oh, Tim.
I know that you guys don't like availability groups in 2012, but you know, I mean, I set up a extremely mission critical availability group cluster, spanned 2 sites. You know, readable secondaries, had all the, you know, all the features in place. And I mean, I know that cluster is still in production today, and it's doing just fine. But why don't you guys like AG 2012?
The V1 thing.
But if it works great though.
Well, so like when the primary goes down, the secondaries, the databases disappear from Object Explorer. And that's the one time when I just want to see how far behind they are, just to run quick queries against them and go see how it's going. It blows their buffer pool too. So any read-only queries are then going back and hitting storage from scratch. So if you
say it again. So you've lost the primary, and you said the secondary databases go away. I haven't seen that before.
Yeah. So the thing we ran into constantly at Stack was when the secondaries in other data centers, they would lose connectivity to the primary.
Mm-hmm.
All the databases simply disappear from Object Explorer. They're not readable. Any queries that are in flight fail, and the buffer pool data is simply gone. So whenever it can see the primary again, then it rehydrates itself from disk as queries are executed, and it's available again. But I'm like, hell, you can't offload any queries to secondary data centers. Now, talk about a first world problem, right? It's not like,
well, and how often are you having the primary go down anyway? You know, that should be a rare occurrence.
Oh, internet connectivity dropped all the time. I mean, we would like lose it a few times between data centers. Not every company.
That sounds like an architecture issue.
Not every company has as much money as your employers.
Well,
do.
Stack does. Stack does.
They didn't at the beginning. Well, and plus two, anybody who's running Enterprise Edition, you know, if you're running, that probably should be.
And then 2014, though, if the primary goes down, the secondaries are still able to continue with their queries, and the buffer pool and everything's still fine. Yeah,
totally good. I think that was my only big beef with 2012 as opposed to 2014. And nobody else. 2016, of course, is the bomb just for all kinds of reasons. Queer.
See, here Brent goes. Brent's dropping out.
Oh, it's
his VM's working too hard.
That's exactly what it was. Yep. CPU is boom. All right. Let's see here. So I won't do that restore then. Let's see how Wes says. Nobody. A bunch of people have just got things in there that aren't really questions. Well, we're perfect on time. Now's probably when we should leave. Now we'll go back to just restoring databases and playing around in SQL Server.
Yeah, let's get out of here.
Adios, everybody. We will see you guys on the next office hours.
Goodbye.
Bye.